This is the Secure Family Podcast. Welcome, friend. I'm Andy Murphy. This show is all about empowering parents to protect themselves and their family. I believe that security is the foundation of happiness, and I want your family to feel safe and happy. If that sounds like something that resonates with you, subscribe to the show because there is always something new to talk about. The information that I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only. My goal is to empower you to make safer decisions for yourself and your family, because our safety is our own responsibility. Today, I'm sharing what I do to prepare my family for the next big disaster, whether it's a hurricane, earthquake, or wildfire, plus a few things that honestly I should be doing. All of that and more coming up on the Secure Family Podcast. There's a scary side to running a small business. Sure, I love helping people live safer, happier lives with the Secure Dad. But when you put yourself out there, you're exposing yourself, your employees, and even your family to cyber criminals. Right now, the average business owner has more than 600 pieces of personal information sitting online. That's your personal email, phone number, and even your home address. Criminals use that data to launch highly targeted phishing attacks. And because they have your real information, they don't sound like strangers. They sound legitimate. And this could cost you a lot of money. An incident can cost upwards of $120,000 for a small business. That's why today's sponsor, Delete Me, is so important. Delete Me removes your personal information from hundreds of data broker sites, making you and your employees' data practically invisible to the scraping tools and AI agents that hackers use to build their lists. Back in 2018, when I was just starting out, I joined Delete Me because I saw the value of the work they do. So if you're looking for ways to protect your business, I highly recommend you check them out. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Go to joindeleteme.com/dad-biz, B-I-Z. When you use that link, you'll get a free year of social media protection for every seat you purchase. That's joindeleteme.com/dad-biz. So friends, we know that when disaster hits, the worst time to prepare is after the lights go out. That's why I created my new and improved Family Disaster Preparedness Guide. It's completely free and packed with practical checklists, emergency planning tips, and the essential gear that every family should have before the next hurricane, wildfire, or power outage. Download your free copy of the Secure Dad Family Disaster Preparedness Guide at the link in today's show notes. When people think about disaster preparedness, they usually picture somebody building a bunker in the woods or spending thousands of dollars on survival gear. But honestly, that's not what most families need. Most families just need a realistic plan before life gets hard, before things go sideways. And the truth is, disasters don't have to be world-ending events to completely disrupt your life. A hurricane, wildfire, tornado, earthquake, or even a long-term power outage can turn everyday life upside down in just a matter of hours. I think Hurricane Helene really opened a lot of people's eyes to this. Folks in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee were not expecting the damage that happened. I mean, why would they? Helene hit the panhandle of Florida. That's really far away. What happened during Helene was a reminder that modern life can be incredibly fragile. Roads can become impassable, there can be flooding in places that you never dreamed it could happen, and self-service can become unreliable in places. The power was out for days and in weeks in certain places. Grocery stores had supply chain issues really quickly, gas stations couldn't pump enough fuel for everybody, families suddenly realized how dependent they were on systems that normally work every single day. And honestly, we took all of that for granted, my family included. And when those systems stop working, even temporarily, things get stressful really fast. That's why I want to talk today about what a disaster preparedness plan actually looks like for the future of your family. Not fear, not paranoia, no panic. Just practical things that you can do right now to make life easier in the future. What it really boils down to is preparedness is about reducing chaos as much as you can. Obviously, we can't control everything, but of the things that we can, we should. And honestly, the families who do the best during disasters usually aren't the families with the most expensive gear or the biggest trucks. They're families who thought ahead before everybody else panicked. The first thing that families need to understand is this: you prepare for the disasters that is most likely to happen where you live. If you live near the coast, hurricanes matter. If you live out west, wildfire preparedness matters. If you live in Tornado Alley, you need a shelter plan. If you live in an area that has frequent earthquakes, then you're going to need to think about the structural safety of your home and what supplies you're going to need. And honestly, a lot of that stuff kind of overlaps. As for me and my family, we've actually had all of those in the last 12 months. Yeah, fun. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is assuming they'll figure it out when the time comes. Or worse, they'll say, that won't happen here. Not in this city. We have too many modern things. But disasters are terrible times to make important decisions. That's why planning ahead matters so much. Every family needs a communication plan. Communication is usually one of the first things to fail during a major event. Cell networks get overloaded or they go offline, the internet goes down, and then power outages impact towers and infrastructure, and then what you can do in your own home. We all assume that our phones will work forever because they usually do. Well, until they don't. Like last fall, my cell provider lost connectivity for hours without warning. Thankfully, I had a backup plan to figure out what was going on. I kept a little radio in my car and was able to hit a local repeater to find out that my carrier was down across the East Coast. Good times. When talking about communications, there's things that every family member needs to know, like where to meet if you get separated. Your kids should know important phone numbers. And yes, you're going to need to write down important numbers on a piece of paper like it's the 1980s. I know that sounds old school, but if your phone dies or gets damaged, suddenly all your contacts disappear. Not long ago, I had Sam from Mad Gear on the show. He shared a ton of great tips for families to help for disaster readiness. But Sam also has this really cool product called the Contingency Planner. Now, Sam is not sponsoring this segment, and I haven't told him about this, but to be honest, I am an affiliate. So this Contingency Planner is a small, tough binder that has tons of great assets to help you plan out your course of action. The planner will ask you questions about where to meet in an emergency, how to contact each other, and then this thing called condition tables. And Sam talked about this a lot in our interview, and I thought this was interesting. So basically it works like this. If a tornado happens, then we do this. And then he walks you through that decision tree about what you need to do to streamline that process. Then there are other packs that you can get for security, planning, logistics, and even notes if you want to kind of have like a field notes section. It's professionally done, and I am very impressed with it. I am using this, and I think that you need to consider it. So if you want help for in-depth emergency planning, consider getting a contingency planner from Mad Gear. There's a link for you in the show notes if you want to check it out. Families also need to think about communication beyond smartphones. This is where two-way radios can really help. Now, I'm not saying that every family needs, advanced radio equipment or, this crazy license or giant antenna in the backyard, but simple radios can make a huge difference during emergencies. Basic FRS radios are cheap and they're easy to use. You've probably seen them at sporting goods stores or big box retailers. Those are great for basic family communication, like around neighborhoods, campgrounds, shelters, and even during evacuations. You don't need a license for these, and they output about 2 to 5 watts or so, and that meets a lot of people's needs. Now, GMRS radios are a step up from that. They have better range, more power, more capability, and they are still beginner-friendly. For everyday communication, you do need a license, but for an emergency, they can be used without one. Plus, GMRS uses FRS frequencies, so it would be really hard to tell the difference between the two. Now, GMRS can use anywhere between 5 to 50 watts, depending on your radio. So do with that information what you will. Another thing people learned during Hurricane Helene is how valuable off-grid communication can be. This is one of the reasons that I've spent time testing a Starlink Mini. Now, by no means is this a requirement for preparedness, but it's really an interesting option for backup communication and internet access during any type of an emergency, really. I ran one in my driveway for a couple of days, and then I also got a cheap kit, and I was able to put it in my car and drove around with it for a couple of weeks. As long as you can power it up and get a decent view of the sky, you can get online. Now let's talk about evacuations, because this is where a lot of people make emotional decisions instead of smart decisions. The best evacuation strategy, in my opinion, is to leave early. Of course, sometimes we don't get a warning, but if you know something like a hurricane or a wildfire is approaching, you do have some time to make a decision. But don't wait for the government to tell you to go, because they're going to tell thousands of people to go at the exact same time. You want to be out there first. When the roads are clear, you can get food, gas, and hotels before anybody else shows up. When everybody waits until the last second, that's when roads become parking lots. Gas stations are going to run dry. Stress levels are going to go through the roof. You don't want your first disaster decision to happen while sitting in traffic with scared kids in the back seat and your gas tank almost on empty. That is not a good situation for anybody. One practical preparedness habit that I recommend during storm season is keeping your gas tank half full. It's one simple habit that gives you a lot of options. Preparedness really is about creating options before you need them. Now let's talk about practical supplies that we all need to have, because people either overdo it or they completely ignore it. You don't need to have a warehouse full of survival gear, as cool as it may be, but you do need the basics. And water is probably the biggest one that you're going to need. Most people underestimate how quickly water becomes a problem. You need water for drinking, cooking, basic hygiene, and for your pets. A good rule is to have at least several days of water stored for each person in your home. And don't forget that when you are loading this stuff and packing it, water is heavy and it takes up a lot of space, so make sure you keep that in mind. Food matters too, and you don't need to overcomplicate it. Just go ahead and buy shelf-stable foods that your family already eats. I'm talking about canned meats and veggies, peanut butter, protein bars, rice, crackers, and of course, bacon. Oh, sweet, wonderful bacon. And you can also have fun stuff like candy, granola bars, trail mix, whatever you think your kids are going to eat during stressful situations. Also take into consideration any dietary needs for family members who might have allergies or sensitivities. A lot of these prepper ready-to-eat meals are not gluten or dairy-free, so keep that in mind. Also, your family is going to need some basic supplies: flashlights, batteries, power banks for devices, first aid supplies, medications, and important documents backed up and protected. And honestly, cash matters more than people realize. During large outages, card systems are probably going to stop working. If you've ever been in a disaster area, you already know that that piece of plastic doesn't help much when the entire internet is down. Remember that money solves problems, and cash is your best tool to do that. Something else that families don't think about enough is emotional preparedness. Kids pay attention to adults. If parents panic, kids panic. Preparedness helps reduce fear because people feel more confident when they have a plan, and you need to share that with your kids. And I think that's why families should practice small drills to be ready for an emergency. Nothing extreme, nothing crazy. But your kids do need to know what to do during severe weather, how to contact their parents, and what happens if the power goes out. They need to know where the emergency supplies are located. Preparedness should create confidence, not anxiety with our kids. Not long ago, I had Disaster Patrick on the show, and he is a survivalist who shares his skills in emergency preparedness and emergency medicine. And he made a point that most families don't experience a disaster. He suggested that while your family may experience a hurricane, an earthquake, or some sort of loss, that as long as you survived and were better for it, that's not a disaster. He wanted parents to realize that resiliency is key for families. And I thought that was really interesting, and it has stuck with me, and it's changed how I think and feel about these big events. The image of the lone survivalist doing everything on their own out in the woods is mostly fantasy. These people would need extensive military training, like a Patrick McNamara, who's actually been on the show to talk about preparedness and all those things before. It's a great conversation. But real communities recover together. Neighbors helping neighbors, people sharing information, and families supporting each other. During Helene, we saw people helping strangers clear roads, deliver supplies, check on elderly residents, and share the resources that they had. And God rest his soul, men like Greg Biffle became heroes. That is real preparedness. Readiness is not trying desperately to control what happens when it is beyond your grasp. It is being resilient in the face of adversity. Before I wrap up, I want to encourage you not to get overwhelmed by all of this. You don't have to build the perfect preparedness system overnight. I want you to start small. So just store some extra water, buy a flashlight, charge those battery banks because they're probably all dead, pick up a basic first aid kit, create your communication plan, go ahead and buy a pair of radios. You know you want to. You do. It's fun. You want to play radio, go ahead, get them. Those small steps are really going to matter because the best time to prepare is before everyone else realizes that they should have. And if today's episode has made you realize that your family needs a better plan, or at least go over the one that you've made, I've created a free resource to help you get going. You can download my Family Disaster Preparedness Guide right now. It walks you through practical steps for emergency planning, supply checklists, communication, and readiness for the average family like yours and mine. It goes over way more than what I have talked about today. You can print it out and put it in your emergency kit. And I don't want to end the show by saying something like, I hope you never need this. But the fact of the matter is, you are going to need this. So I'll say it like this. Be ready for the next big emergency, and it won't be a disaster. Well, that's everything that I have for the Secure Family Podcast today. I appreciate you listening, friend. Don't forget to grab your free copy of my Family Disaster Preparedness Guide. There's a link for you in the show notes. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Go to joindeleteme.com/dad-biz. When you use that link, you'll get a free year of social media protection for every seat that you purchase. That's joindeleteme.com/dad-biz. If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new today, I'd be grateful if you would follow the show, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or leave a 5-star review. If you'd like to know more about The Secure Dad, join me on Instagram and TikTok. My username for both of those platforms is The Secure Dad. And of course, my website is thesecuredad.com. I'm Andy Murphy, reminding you that our safety is our own responsibility.